sure we know where okay, pretty much the whole page. Probably actually more than I'll use. That's cool. Oh, what are we gonna do? Probably should have thought about this before, but oh well. We can come up with stuff on the fly, right? Hello, Crown Clown. Good morning. Also, let me know if the sound is okay. I can adjust as needed between my voice and the music. Cool. Cool. Can you guys kind of see that? Let's adjust this down for a sec. Honestly, they're rough. You guys probably won't be able to see too much, but because I'm drawing with a 50% cool gray right now, and it's pretty light. Reason being, it pretty much just disappears at the end. Like, you don't end up seeing any of it. But hopefully we can get through this part pretty quick. Hello, Pockets. Good morning. How are you? hair will go the other way. I'm doing well. It's a fine Wednesday. I woke up very easily. Man, last week I was having the hardest time, like, waking up early for some reason, even though, like, I prefer to wake up early. It was just not easy. So I'm glad the last couple days it's kind of happened very effortlessly. A bit of both, honestly. I almost always wake up before my alarm goes off, but I always have the alarm just in case, you know? But oftentimes, like, I'm already awake when the alarm goes off. So, last week was a lot of hitting snooze, which I rarely do, or if I do, I hit it like once, you know? And I think whatever the automatic snooze is on the iPhone, like 8 minutes or something like that. So that's about all I usually do. Because I also know that if I don't just get up, then I'm gonna kind of fall back to sleep, and then it's gonna be harder to actually wake up after that. Alright, let's figure out where this bow is. It's always a fun little challenge, is getting the gesture of the bow and arrow. And let's make sure her arms are the right length. How about that? Is that a fun game? Yeah, they definitely start going pretty early. There we go. That's better. Now, depending on how familiar anyone is with any of my past work, I've done a couple of these, like, sort of Celtic inspired hunters. Not gonna lie, they don't wear a whole lot. And it's not like the Celts were running around naked, right? But that was more of a battle thing as far as I know, if they did that. So we may have to figure out something that feels a little more, I don't know what, other than TOS friendly. Because, you know, we don't have to draw the dreaded ellipses. Yeah, like, I know that there's a lot of conflicting information, right, about the Picts. And because, there's not a lot that survived from their culture. And I think their culture disappeared pretty quickly, or at least was absorbed into others pretty quickly. Though the illustrations seem to be pretty clear. Yeah, the Picts, that is spelled properly. But it's also hard because it's written by Romans of the day, right? And what any of them tended to do, especially in those conquering nations, was paint the other cultures in as bad a light as they could, right? To make them seem more, as they put it, barbaric, right? And I think they even called them barbarians. And so it's hard to know, like, did they actually do that, or, were they just trying to make them seem less, like, evolved than the Romans? Good morning, Martest. How you doing? And I think that's the hard part with not a lot of that culture surviving, the Pict culture, is that we don't have... Is the stream okay? We don't want no dropped frames. Yo. Alright. Good morning, Double Down. How's it going? How are you? What? Oz, hello. Thank you for that sub, my friends. How are you? How are you? Alright, let's get through. But regardless of how accurate any of the Roman depictions of the Picts really were, we all still love the idea. So, naked tattooed warriors it is. I'm doing well. I am doing well. Not naked, Twitch. Totally not. Completely naked. And I would totally put like sensor bars and stuff on here, except that I'm gonna be flipping this around and the sensor bars won't do shit. So whatever. David that name sounds really familiar. What has David Gamel written? Obviously I haven't haven't really read anything if I don't know him off the bat, but although it's getting to the point where I am like blanking on authors' names that I've read. Unless it's like, Karen Moning. Apparently not pronounced moaning. Who'd have thunk it? It's called Legend about Dress, but there are lots. Huh. No, I haven't read any of his stuff. I've been specifically on a female author kick lately. I will get back to reading some male authors too, but Haven't gotten there just yet. All right, let's get through some of this shit, shall we? I'm not opposed to going all fantasy and giving her some kind of a fantasy top. Really don't want to. She looks off balance. We can't have that. Really. We gotta. I think it's just moving this one leg back. Oh, cool. How does her stuff compare? Or did we find out that she was the true genius behind the man? One of the things that I hate when pet peeve here, when people are drawing or illustrating someone in this position with a bow, is when they have the bowstring actually like pulled at an angle, and when you're relaxed, I mean, bows take some force to pull. You know, unless it's like a little something with like a little 10-pound pull or something, then maybe not as much. But you're not going to walk around with that thing drawn. You're just going to be holding the arrow in place. And yeah, it just I hate that shit. Mystical Goose, hello and welcome. Yeah, I mean, at least this isn't a longbow, but you know, just a little recurve. But even the recurve can go pretty hardcore. Although I'm surprised. Hello, Mushroom V1 or Mushroom Vone. I'm surprised because, you know, back in the day, especially in the heyday of the longbow, people weren't big. Knights weren't big. You know, you look at those old suits of armor, those dudes were actually kind of small and pretty lean. So it's interesting how, like, the people were very strong, but not necessarily, like, you know, big dudes, you know. I don't think people like the Mountain really existed back then. If they did, they would have been an absolute freak of nature. But not that, you know, Game of Thrones is historically accurate or anything. It did have about like 400 years worth of technology crammed in, but that's okay. It's fantasy, right? It's one of the things we love about it. All right, let me sharpen this a little bit. Yeah, even the strongmen, back in like the 20s. I mean, some of them were pretty big, right? Some of them were like like tall and, you know, took up a lot of space. But it wasn't until the advent of free weights, really, that people started to get super jacked. North American, all the tribes. Oh, that's cool. Sarah, that sounds fun. Yeah, they started to get really jacked with the advent of free weights once that became more of a thing, because they could start to isolate muscle groups. Prior to that, the typical way that people were pushing themselves and building was through calisthenics, right? That was the typical mode of working out. But as a result, too, you had people that were just legitimately strong, even if they weren't as like cut and jacked as they are now. I mean, I forget the guy's name. He was like the biggest guy to ever do the Iron Cross, right, in gymnastics, where you're just holding yourself out on the rings, and he was like 6'2" and like 225 pounds or something like that, and he could do the Iron Cross. That is insane. You look at those gymnasts now, and they're like like 5'2", you know, like just the fact that he could do that, like, I think is a bit of a testament to the effectiveness of the calisthenics workouts. 3 Davey, how are you doing? You know, because the calisthenics workouts actually work entire muscle sets and basically make your muscles super effective, right? So you can actually use them and move properly. By the way, if you're wondering, like, why is he still roughing things out? I tend to spend almost more time on the rough than I do on the rest of it, because the rest of it goes pretty quick once I have everything in place. It's the same like when I do pencil stuff for work. By the way, this is my first Prismacolor drawing in a long time. I was like, you know what? I really want to do this. I want to do one of these. Plus, I think I'm going to incorporate it into a piece that I'm doing for work. Just for the texture, you know, something that is hard to replicate in digital, like a nice kind of organic texture. Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, Phil puts a lot, because his stuff, it's because his stuff is so gestural, right? And it's so simplified that rough is everything, you know. And you know, because you'll see him, and if when he's getting into the final drawing, it's like he'll do the mark, and if it's not right what he wants, he, you know, Command Z's it or Control Z's it. I'm not sure if he's on a PC or a Mac. I kind of assume he's on a PC, but I don't know. By the way, I always draw these crazy necklaces, and every now and then I think, like, holy shit, that would be so heavy. Just to be running around in. Probably not terribly comfortable, but whatever. Whatever. We'll give some kind of a leather pad. It's quickly going way fantasy. So I do wonder, maybe I should actually give her some kind of a top. Yeah, no, I figure, especially if, like, they're full-on metal, you know, like, oh man, these necklaces would not be fun. And yeah, Sarah, I imagine high pain tolerance is something as well, for sure, you know. You're saying the necklace is a top as is? Actually, you know what I might do? I might just have like a sort of loosely draped thing. And so here's my thing. If I do a top, right? Then all of a sudden, I feel like the top needs to have a purpose beyond just covering up, right? Because I rarely tend to draw characters that would give a shit about that, right? Or they live in a world or a culture where that doesn't matter. So that's where it's like, okay, it either needs to be some kind of armor, or maybe it's, you know, simply to kind of, you know, keep the girls in, like a sports bra. You know? Which makes sense, you know, if you had a busty warrior running around. Like, you look at Red Sonja, and I'm like, dude, that top's not doing shit, and that would hurt, I imagine, for her to, like, run full tilt. Because it certainly doesn't restrain anything. So that's where I have issues with the whole, like, oh, just put a top on just because. Yeah. Yeah. But it also depends on what they're made of, right? In this case, I would not imagine that this stuff is gold, right? I would think bronze, Or, I mean, hell, even iron, depending on whether we're talking Bronze Age technology or not, right? Might not be. It could be iron, which would be really heavy. Could be stone, right? Raphael, hello and welcome. Speaking of Red Sonja, so I tend to, if I draw Red Sonja, I tend to try and do something that, yes, even though her outfit is silly in the grand scheme of things, I still try and do something that might have some kind of a purpose, and I don't tend to do giant boobs on her, because I'm like, dude, if she's, I don't know, like, okay, I was going to say, if she's that fit, but that's not entirely true. Again, if we go back to older methods of working out, they didn't necessarily get super cut, right? She's a little more CrossFit than someone might have been. And, if we go back, Iron Age, beginning of Iron Age, so someone could definitely be busty and curvy and super strong, right? But I don't know how they tend to draw Red Sonja. She's really cut, and I'm like, you're not really gonna have like giant boobs when you're that cut, because all the fat has been worked off. Beads, gets when she comes of age. Yeah, I agree. Tree Davy, I agree. Ooh, welcome to the Discord. Let me give you a roll. Wada, you are now a sketchling and can move about the server. All right. Now I have her off to the side, by the way, because I did want to give her some big animal companion. I'm still debating on this whole top thing, and I feel like I really don't want to, but maybe we just don't. I think we can get away with it if we just don't detail out the dreaded ellipses. I think we can. I think there's a little bit of leeway, especially since it's not any kind of, sexually suggestive stuff. That's what Picardo is for, right? I'm with you, Oz. I am with you. All right. Let's. Time is 8:21. Okay, we got some time. By the way, I rarely draw any kind of specific big cat when I do. I tend to just mix and match anatomy to my liking, because fantasy. Yeah, that's why, Raphael with Red Sonja, Ben Caldwell, man, he draws my favorite Red Sonjas. I mean, sometimes, often, well, okay, I was gonna say it makes her look a bit younger, but he was specifically doing stuff where she was younger, so it worked. But he just, yeah, he draws my favorite Red Sonjas. My faves. Because I think he also tries to like take the like the armor and stuff away from being too silly, like literally just a scale mail bikini. So Red Sonja was essentially like the female Conan, and she's in, though Robert E. Howard, who wrote Conan, did not specifically write stories around Red Sonja. They introduced her later into that world, and she's really kind of an amalgamation of a couple characters in what's called the Howard verse, or what some people call the Howard verse, in the Conan universe. But she was basically like Conan's equal, but a red-haired warrior woman. Totally not my jam at all. All right. So what I tend to do is I tend to draw something more like a jaguar, but it's like the size of a lion, which would just dominate everything if it existed, by the way. Jaguars don't give a fuck. These things are so damn powerful. I think they have the second strongest bite in the animal kingdom. I don't know if it's worth watching. It was not a good movie. It's very dated. And but they've done a whole comic book series around Red Sonja. And I think some of the comics are probably better than the movie was. The movie was pretty cheesy. I don't remember, is it a crocodile that has the strongest bite? Like a saltwater crocodile or something? What's interesting about crocodiles is that all their muscles are for closing their jaws, but they have like hardly any muscle involved in opening the jaws, so you can actually keep their jaws closed fairly easily. But if their jaws are open, you don't want to get anywhere close. Yeah, I wish I could tell you like which storylines or what to look for, but honestly, like I've read some Red Sonja books, but it's been so long I couldn't even tell you which ones. And then they've been doing weird crossovers with the Archie universe, and I don't know what that was about. And then like I keep seeing like I think they recently did a Red Sonja Vampirella crossover thing, and I don't know. Who knows what they're doing? Something's not feeling right here with this anatomy. Oh, probably not a pet though. Yeah, Raphael, I had ended up, I had read the Dark Horse series that they put out. That was like that Carrie Nord illustrated, which I would highly recommend. Taken basically directly out of the Conan short stories. Good morning, Sariana. Hello, hello. And when I read that, I was curious. I wanted to know how much they had taken from the Howard stories and how much they kind of took liberties. And man, like, it was basically one for one, which was really cool. I thought that was awesome that they did that. And so I can recommend pretty highly the Carrie Nord Conan books. But also, like, you know, most of the Conan stories were short stories. I think he only ever wrote a couple novellas. I don't even think he wrote any full novels around Conan, because they were serial stories, right? That would appear like a chapter at a time in the newspaper, and so they didn't tend to do full novels with that kind of a setup. So, you know, super easy read. The only reason I say she's probably not a pet is because, you know, they're still wild animals, and no matter how domesticated they've been, if they decide they've had enough, but also I say that because they should not be pets, right? But I also know that there are situations where it's like sometimes they're rescued, you know, from abusive situations, and if they have not been brought up in the wild, you know, contrary to what a lot of people believe, you can't just release them in the wild. They don't even know how to hunt, and they will not survive, right? So the people are like, you can't do that, you know, you have to, if you rescue them, you have to release them, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, sure, if you want them to die, we can do that, you know? Yeah, and it sucks that dipshit millionaires are like, I want a pet tiger. And then when the tiger, you know, they buy a cub, which you can do in certain countries. And cat hair. How the hell did I get cat hair in my mouth? And they buy a cub, but then at 6 months old, the cubs are like almost 100 pounds. Can you imagine, like, my little like 12-pound cat, the damage she can cause? You know, when she throws a little tantrum. Can you imagine a 100-pound cat? Holy shit. Like, forget it. And then that's still like a baby. Yeah, so that's the other thing that'll happen a lot in captivity, Sarah, is that the mothers will give birth and they'll reject the cubs, and often if they keep the cubs there, the mothers will kill them. So you see it a lot with leopards and jaguars, and I think lions too, in captivity. All right, let's get into some drawing. Right? Because I own a cat. And I was talking about cats, so naturally I'm going to find some cat hair. Really quick, the placement of that tail is kind of bugging me. Mostly it just looks too, you know, we can cheat. Since we're making up this cat anyway, we can give it some kind of rings on the tail just for us to be able to see which direction it's really going. Plus, I always give cats really long tails like clouded leopards or snow leopards have. Because, clouded leopards live most of their lives up in the trees, so they have these crazy long tails for balance. And snow leopards obviously are traversing gnarly cliffs and shit, so same thing. Giant long tails for balance. Joey the Saint, hello! Ocelots are pretty rad. It's super cute. I know, like, I follow this lady on TikTok that has like a little animal sanctuary, and she has these 2 clouded leopards that are so cute. Lots of practice, Ariana. Lots of practice. Honestly, even when I was like graduating from art center, I had a hard time putting multiple figures together at all, because I was so used to focusing on character design that I wasn't used to doing the whole multi-figure thing. And I remember at one point someone online had and I was friends with the person, so it was okay that they sort of challenged me. They're like, okay, but I wonder, can you illustrate 2 people interacting? And so I did, it was this girl who was like fighting like an orc, and she had jumped on his back and was like wrenching his head back with one hand and stabbing him with the other. And it was a nice challenge for me because I hadn't really done something like that before. So it was, it was fun. It was a fun, gruesome sort of challenge. But I'd gotten a little bit of a crash course at one point. I was storyboarding on Power Rangers season 13, and I had to storyboard all the Rangers together. Oh, thanks. Yeah, this is the one on the brick red. I love the color, but the problem is the gold really pops out on this, and we lose a bit of the drawing. I prefer the zinc gray because the value of the gray is a little lighter than this brick. So this one is, I do love the color combo, but I just feel like we lose the drawing a little too much. Whereas the zinc gray is a little lighter value, so the drawing actually still pops really nicely, thankfully. Yeah, so I had to, storyboard very quickly all these scenes where it's like, I don't know. They call it a vintage brick red. I think it's looking. Yeah, no, it looks accurate on stream. And it is kind of a vintage brick, like. But if we wanted to get specific, we could probably call it a maroon. Maybe just a hair warmer than what I would think of as maroon. But all right, let's get into some details here. I love that olive, and the only reason that I'm looking at switching it up from that olive is the construction of the shirt. These shirts are much better made than the previous ones. These guys have an olive in this line, but it's a dark olive, and it looks really dark. So there's no way I could use it for this shirt. So yeah, and just having that better construction to me is pretty important. The next level 3600s, which was the previous shirts, super soft and comfortable, but they just feel like they can stretch out super easy and don't quite have the quality feel, I think. Even though, like, they've held up, I've washed all of those multiple times now, and they have held up. So there's probably a reason that they were highly recommended from the company. But then when I found out they could print on these, on the Lane 7 vintage tees, I was like, oh, I might have to do that. I might have to. Also, that the big ink drawing we were doing on stream before. I am looking into print options for that. Possibly limited edition print if because I don't think I could do like print on demand with the foil, but we'll see. I know I've said in the past, like the people I was working with before, POV, I wasn't big fans of them, but my brother was saying they've actually gotten much better, like because he had stopped working with them too. For the exact same reasons, and he said that they're a lot nicer now and much easier to work with. And also, I think they weren't right at the time because I was trying to do something that was quality, but I didn't want to put a high price tag on it, but they're really better if you want to do like legit, like museum quality art pieces. So the people I was working with before Ariana, they can do all that foil stuff. I just didn't want to work with them because the guy who runs it was kind of a dick. But apparently he's much better now. So I might, but I was looking around at other places that will print on the specific paper that I want. And I found a place and I ordered a sample piece, because the other thing I was considering are artist embellished prints, right? So actually printing it and then applying the gold foil on myself, like actual gold, the 21 karat moon gold foil. Obviously that would make the price for each print much higher, but the other fun thing would be that I could do a couple little things on it that would make each one a little different, right? So anyway, I found a place that prints on the paper that I love, that Hanamule photo rag satin paper, because that stuff is just gorgeous. And when you print an ink drawing on it, it looks like an original. It just takes that kind of like the line art and stuff so nicely. So I ordered the test, a print of it yesterday. And then I saw this little map at the bottom of the site, and I thought it was like pinging kind of my location or something. And then I realized they're just here in Pasadena. I was like, what the fuck? So I'm going to hit them up and see, because I noticed they do a lot of the printing and stuff for the Art Center grad shows, actually. And I think that they will integrate into Shopify. That's what it sounded like. So I need to talk to them. And if that's the case, there may be some options. I just don't know if they do any of the foil printing. They do so many other things I'd have a hard time imagining they don't, but we'll see. Oh, right, Pockets? It's so, like, all their paper. Because I would like to try one on the... Hanamule they do a watercolor paper, and I'm forgetting what it's called, but I'd like to try one on that paper at some point, and just see, because not all paper would be good for customization. Especially when you get into the printer papers, most of them have a certain type of seal, kind of sizing on the paper that allows it to take inkjet inks and have them be permanent. It's like, at least the stuff I saw, it was named after an artist, and I don't remember if it was like Hopper or Turner or I forget. But a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at, Tree Davy, is, at least as far as I know, they'll ship internationally. Or do you mean for you to be able to create stuff? Because you don't have to work with a printer in your country, right? Like at this point, when I'm searching for printers to work with, I don't even pay attention to where they're located anymore. And hell, I mean, my publisher is in France, so the publisher of my book. So there's that. One thing I didn't think about, I'm going really slow because I keep talking and getting distracted. One thing I didn't think about is where I want the light to come from. I always tend to do this like kind of upper left, but for this, and sometimes I think, oh, I'm going to do it different. But for this one, I think I will, just because if I do it from another direction, I don't want to cover up too much in shadow. So I think I will do upper left again. Yeah, Turner. It is Turner. Okay. It's like I knew it was an artist. I see. I see. Wow, wait, so you can't even get Amazon? Like, they won't deliver? Or you can't even shop on Amazon? Or if they deliver, it's super expensive? Because I remember the first time I got, well, not the first time, but when I got Claire Wendling's book, Drawers, I actually had to order it through Amazon France because they didn't sell it here. I probably could have found another avenue, but I think I just wasn't as aware of some of the other options at the time because that was ages ago. Oh, wow. So you can't even like buy. That's crazy. Wow. That's wild. Yeah, so I had shipped one of the drawings that sold in my shop. I'd shipped it out to Norway. And I just went to track it. Apparently I can't track things once they're in Norway through USPS. I was like, what the hell? That's weird. I can track the one that went to Italy, but I can't track the one that went to Norway. Man. So I guess there's a lot of ways in which we're a little spoiled here in the US in terms of access to things, which I think about sometimes because I often think about moving to France. And I do sometimes wonder, like, okay, what am I gonna really miss, and do I even know? Like, I'm sure that there are things I wouldn't have access to that I haven't even considered because they're just like run of the mill. I mean, one of the things is I'm sure next day and same day delivery will be right out the door. None of that. Which is fine. I don't actually care about that. That's more just a convenience thing. It's not a necessity. Especially because one of the things I've been doing actually is trying not to get stuff through Amazon. So sometimes I'll find something on Amazon, but then I'll make it a point to look for it somewhere else. And even if it means the shipping might take longer, I don't know. I don't think Bezos really needs my help with more penis rockets. Right. Hello, Toxic Mom. Hello. That's fair, Sariana. That is fair. Okay. Now, what about stuff like cryptocurrency? Because some of the payment solutions, I don't know if PayPal has allowed crypto yet. I know Venmo does. And I know that a lot of the cryptocurrency stuff has allowed a lot of the smaller countries to, become much more independent because they're not dependent then on some other infrastructure. Well, Joey, you already had received yours and I knew it. I just needed to mark it fulfilled. And I had never, because this is my first foray into doing original art via Shopify, I didn't know what would happen if I clicked fulfilled, right? Or mark fulfilled or whatever Shopify tags it as. So it was kind of a test last night where I was like, okay, well, now I know that the people in the US have gotten theirs, so let me do this and see what happens. And I was like, okay, cool. That's how it works. So now I know that as soon as I ship something out, I can do that whole thing. Thank you for being my guinea pig. Yeah, it's funny because I had looked up all kinds of, tutorials and things online for selling original art through Shopify. The thing none of them mention was setting up shipping zones. Nobody mentioned that. So everyone that wanted original art had pretty much messaged me saying, hey, how come you don't ship to wherever? And I think the first two were in the US. I'm like, what do you mean I don't ship there? I ship everywhere. And so I had to just really quickly on the fly. Thankfully I had my iPad and was not just on my iPhone because I was out of town. I was up seeing my mom. But luckily I figured it out pretty quick. So. And even the person in Italy, they had also said, oh yeah, I would have gotten this piece, but you don't ship to Italy. I was like, no, that was just a that was just a mistake. I do ship to Italy. If you still want it, I fixed the problem. And luckily they did. Yay! I'm gonna add some more originals to the shop soon. This month. It is September 1st. So I will add some more. I just have several things I'm juggling and trying to figure out. So I don't know which originals are gonna be there yet. We'll figure it out. I'm considering doing like sets kind of, or like things that have similar themes with the OGs. Maybe something like that. We'll see. Interesting. Oh, that just sounds expensive though. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. BRB. Make sure there's nothing that. Okay. Just realized I just needed to make sure that nothing crazy is going on at work. We're all good. I have not. I was buying a handbag from Java, and I used one of those. Missing price on their site, though. They're actually not all bad. My jet carrier. I used Caran d'Ache pencils. Toxic Mom, I've not used Caran d'Ache pencils. I tend to... Are they colored pencils? I feel like I've seen them. I tend to use for grays, you know, black and gray. I like Prismacolor. I like the consistency of them. For colors, I use the polychromos because they're super archival. Like the black and the gray for Prismacolor are very archival, but the colors for Prismacolors, most of them are not terribly archival, not like the polychromos. Oh, oil-based, huh. I might have to check them out and see. All right, let's see here. What is the because I'm definitely all for trying out some new pencils. Faux show. Best light fastness rating, but Derwent just released a competitive series. Haven't tried those yet though. Okay. I've never been a huge fan of Derwent's, but you know, again, I'm always down to try new art supplies. Not gonna lie, sometimes it's a little bit of a problem. Yeah, like I have the, I love that set of 60 Faber-Castell Polychromos. I love that thing. The colors are just so pretty. So annoying. Like, oh, be careful which details you add. So I feel like I can't even do proper shading. It's okay. It's okay. We can deal with it. Isn't that how it always works, though? I always feel like I'll get some piece of equipment and I'm like, no, it's cool, dude. I have like every single cable imaginable. Except the one that I need for that thing. I'm like, oh, I have like 3 mini HDMI cables. I need a micro HDMI cable. Who knew? Now I'm pretty sure I have every cable imaginable, but it's like, for real? Annoying. Annoying. Alright, I don't need all of this to be super tight here. Let's think about. So hard to like, because a lot of, especially because I tend to go more painterly with my drawing in this case, it's hard to not get into some of those dreaded details because it becomes so much just a part of the modeling of the form. Cool. Sarah, I am going to look at those books. Yo, Thanos. Thanks for the follow. And welcome. What? right, let's see if we can move this along a little bit more. Angle's a little awkward. Forgot. She's gonna need a quiver of arrows. I don't know why, I always like to do these random chords and things wrapped around with, you know, different adornments. It's all good, dude. That is why I made sure my work computer was fired up, just in case. Yeah, I honestly did not sleep well last night at all. And so I was very surprised when I woke up at 6:30 and I was just up. I was awake. I was like, all right. Yo, dude, thanks. We'll get the grass and stuff. Maybe it's not just grass. Maybe we get some other. I don't want to get too into this stuff because it's not a focal area. It's more just so that they're not just floating, you know? So it gives some sense of a ground plane. Oh, did I miss? Is Sariana? Oh, Sariana. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Super appreciate it. I got caught up in just trying to move this thing along. Talking so much, I got distracted. I know, right? Autumn. Like last night, I was actually gonna do some more ink stuff on stream for this morning, and then I was like, you know what? I haven't done Prismas in ages. I want to do some of that. Thankfully, it doesn't feel as awkward as I feared it might. You know, I definitely need to do more, but I figured I'm actually gonna use them for work today. So that's why I was like, you know what? Let's warm up properly. Do this shit right. Okay, this song is weird. Keep forgetting to delete it off the playlist. Where are you at? Weird song. There you are. There. I like it until the weird dude starts singing. It's like, okay, stop. You're creeping me out, bro. It's one of those, you know, when I'm looking for songs to put on the playlist, I don't always listen to the entire song because who the hell has the time? So, like, I'll listen to, you know, the beginning of it. I'm like, yeah, I like this. And then maybe I'll skip to a part later on. But every now and then I'll miss, like, a really awkward part of a song. And I'm like, shit. I'm part of... Are you guys familiar with Bluebirdie? Toxic Mom, by the way, I use the X-Acto Magnum sharpener. Tree Davy, it is a big cat of some kind. But I don't tend to stick to a specific type. I like to kind of mix and match, just, again, fantasy world. So, no. Bluebirdie is a fantastic artist. If you guys know Evan Amundsen, Bluebirdie is his wife, and she's amazing. I'm on her Patreon, so she's been doing these really beautiful, like artist embellished prints where she'll do a drawing and then print it out small and then do like just a little bit of quick color on each one, like quick watercolors, right? And so I got this from her yesterday, and it's so pretty. It's so pretty. I wonder if I would dare change my... There, you guys can see it up close. And it's so pretty. I love it. I love it. She's so good. She's so good. Don't listen to Autumn. I mean, you can get that one too, but the X-Acto Magnum is great. I've used it for years. No, not that one. No, bad. I mean, it's not terrible. It's fine for traveling. I thought you were plugging one of your, like, Panasonic ones. No, so my issue with that one, Autumn, and I say this after having why? What are you talking about? Dude, that's a great point. Are you kidding? My issue with that one is that it actually gives a taper, like a slight curve in on the point of the pencil. So when I do this, when I work with the side, it's not hitting the length of it. I get some here, and then I get some here, and then I have to wear it down to get the full length of the point. So that's my issue with that one. Even though I bought it, and there are things I like about it, but just as far as I also have no idea how well that holds up. The X-Acto Magnum, I know from experience, lasts for years. I haven't put that one through the ringer yet. So I don't really know if it lasts as long or not. But just with the issues that I have with it, it's hard for me to recommend it as even though like visually, yeah, it creates that nice point, but for how I draw, it doesn't work that well for me. All right, now she will need to be casting a shadow on our kitty. I have Tree Davy, but do you have something specific in mind? Because usually, like if I do a painting on wood, I'm still finishing that surface with gesso or something first. Because if I do that, I'm painting in oils, and you can't paint directly. You could paint directly on wood with oils, but if you paint, there's a good chance the wood will start to rot because the oil soaks in. And just the acids from the wood don't play well with oils directly. So you always want to finish the surface with something first. So I guess it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Let's give this one some markings. Well, I mean, you can put primer on the wood. Damn it. Can't forget that she needs a quiver back here. No, why would they peel off? I guess it depends on what kind of primer he used. But acrylics should sit perfectly fine on it. It's just if it's an oil-based primer, then they might not sit as well. But acrylics will sit on just about anything. But if they're not sitting on the primer the way they're supposed to, then I would say sand it down. Just sand that primer off, and or put something else. Okay, it's an oil-based primer. Yeah, I mean, I would probably sand it down. Yeah, Sarah, typically that whole shoulder quiver thing wasn't really much of a thing in real life. Like, can you imagine trying to put arrows back in the quiver? You're sitting there like wait, where is it? Even with muscle memory, it would just be a giant pain in the ass. What's up, Viscera? How's it going? Typically, they tended to have a hip quiver, not a shoulder quiver. I don't know if sometimes in battle they would do the shoulder thing, simply because the archers, it's not like they were putting their arrows away. They were loosing them on the opponent. But yeah, a hip quiver is just so much more manageable. That my understanding is that was actually what they tended to do. It was not that the shoulder quiver, I think, was actually a little more of a Hollywood thing, just because it looks cool and flashy. So, you think I want? Yeah, I would sand it down and then throw. I mean, you could throw a gesso on it, like acrylic-based gesso on it. You could, if you can get a watercolor ground, you might be able to throw that down on it, depending on the surface that he wants. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would sand it down and then put something else on the over the top of it. Probably acrylic gesso is what I would go for. And if he's painting in acrylics, I would go, like Liquitex makes gesso, and it's acrylic based. So that'll play just fine with acrylics. These days, like if I'm actually gonna paint in oils, I actually don't use gesso anymore. Or I'll do one layer of gesso just to help seal the surface, but then I put oil ground down on it because I realized like I hate the way that gesso takes oils. Like I can't stand it. So I do an oil ground. Gamblin makes a great oil ground that works similar to like a lead priming, but there's no lead in it. So also thanks Viscera. Or Oz. Sorry. Thanks Oz. And thank you Viscera. I'm not sure what for, but I'll thank you anyway. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I needed to get some kind of markings on the cat so it didn't just look like a weird looking lion. Alright, let's get into our tone here. Let's keep moving this along because I do need to get into doing some work stuff. So, but I'd like to finish this. So let's... But before we do that, it's usually a good idea to just clean it up a little bit. You know, doesn't take much. Because I'll come back in and solidify some of these lines a bit more after the fact. So it's nice to just clean up some of this stuff. I actually do want to give her something here too, just because. All right, let's, by the way, anyone not familiar with Duraline, it is translucent like tracing paper, but it is acetate plastic, so it doesn't curl up if you get a little bit of sweaty palm on it, which is nice. It's very smooth, it has very little tooth, but still has enough to grab the pencil as needed. What am I looking for? Do we want to do... I normally do a cool gray because I feel like cool gray actually plays the best with black. But I might do a warm gray. Or we can go crazy and mix them both so it's not quite one or the other. Oh, and I love that color. I love those markings. I think Pities have some of the best colors and markings on them. So cool. All right, so we're gonna mix some warm gray and cool gray in here. Because sometimes the warm gray gets a little weird, like... It's hard to explain. I'm not a huge fan of the warm gray in and of itself. I don't mind it if I do the drawing in like a dark brown instead of black. Then it actually mixes pretty well. But the black, I just feel like is maybe a little cooler than the warm gray is. So they don't, I don't know, they mix a little weird. So we'll get warm and cool gray in here. And then we have our trusty shop towels, right? Just the blue paper towels. Literally called shop towels. You can get them in the hardware store. Super durable, almost like a cloth, but they are a paper towel. This one, obviously, I have used quite a bit. In fact, let's grab a different one. Right, so I'm just taking, I use the hell out of these things, so I can just do this, turn it around, so I have a new thing. I've got Gamsol, right, Gamsol. This is not a paid advertisement. Gamblin. It's just odorless mineral spirits, typically used as a solvent for oil painting. I just put it in a little squeeze bottle. But what this does is it just melts the wax in the pencils, which I might actually go a little harder into. Get a little more contrast. So it just melts the wax in the pencil and allows me to push this stuff around. So I just put some on here. And you can either like leave some of the marks, you know, textural stuff, or the more you kind of keep going over it, the smoother it'll get. And I go both ways. Like sometimes if it just fits the piece, I'll leave some texture. I wouldn't leave it like this. I prefer to do, you know, some more deliberate kind of marks, you know, but like that's not bad. And it only takes a few minutes to dry. Well, okay, that varies. That depends on the temperature and the weather and all that shit. Sometimes it takes a little longer. And if I were to erase out right now, it would go right back to white. So Seth Cole Duraline. Viscera Obscura has it. And yeah, Toxic Mom, the shop towels are the best. The best. I use them for oil painting. I use them for this. They're great. Yeah, if you Google Seth Cole Duraline, now I get the loose leaf. I'm currently working on 11 by 14. I usually do 11 by 17, but it kind of didn't really matter for this because there would be a bunch off the camera anyway. So I was just like, no, screw it. I'll do 11 by 14. Because I've found even when I work on 11 by 17, a lot of my pieces like end up being about 11 by 14 anyway. But sometimes it's nice to have the added breathing room. You could, though, Toxic Mom, you could do a hairdryer on Gansol, but literally this takes like a couple minutes to dry. If you did a hairdryer, you would want to hold it pretty far back, but literally, like, Gansol dries so fast that you can, if you need it to speed up, you can literally just blow on it, and that's enough to speed up the drying process. But this stuff is already just about there. The other thing you can do is use the dry side of the paper towel to then basically just take off the excess. And even just the heat from the friction of doing that will speed up the drawing. So that's often what I do. Which is why usually the back side of my paper towels end up looking like that, because I use it to just dry it off a bit more. So, but yeah, it dries pretty quick. Where did this needed eraser? Where did the other one go? Am I crazy? I had two. Oh, there it is. Ah. Okay. I don't know. Does it? I would think they would have a compound vapor pressure. I mean, obviously it is highly flammable and combustible. It's weird. I would think they would have a flame point if it was that low. I don't think it's that low though. Only because of how hot it can get here in Southern California. Okay, 144 makes more sense. Because I was like, dude, we'll have heat waves that are 115. Not that it would be that hot indoors necessarily, but it's possible. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm already past time, but that's okay. I can always work a little later today if I feel like I need to make up some time. So I use the kneaded eraser here just for the general kind of lights, you know? Because this will give me some nice soft kinds of edges. I'll have to work on some of these non-TOS friendly details afterward. But yeah, even 144 is like, you know, the thing you have to be careful of sometimes is, you know, the reason they say don't just throw like the towels and stuff that you use, don't just throw them in the trash, because if you have food and stuff in the trash, then it's composting and it's actually increasing the heat in the trash can, and so, you know, it can actually ignite stuff. Not gonna lie, I set one of my teachers' garages on fire that way, but that wasn't with Gamsol. We were staining stuff. We were doing stains on wood, and he said, when you're done, just throw the rags in this box. And that box happened to be right near the garage door. And hey, Tree Davy, thank you for hanging out. Always appreciated. So I threw the rags with the stain on them in that box, like he told me to. And I closed the garage door, like he told me to. Problem is, that box was right up against the garage door. And when the sun moved, apparently it hit the garage door directly and ignited those, got hot enough that it ignited the towels. Not my fault. Not my fault. I still felt bad though. But, you know, kind of one of those things where if you don't just full on dispose of them properly, you know, like you're not going to take all that stuff into consideration. I'm not going to think about, oh, well, which way is the sun moving? Is it going to hit this garage door and ignite this box of towels? You know, like that wasn't occurring to me. But, you know, I still felt bad because it burned part of his old animation desk from his Disney days. And you can't get those desks anymore. Whoops. Still streaming. Debating if I wanna, yeah, we're gonna, I wasn't sure if I wanted to like augment the background a bit, but I think I do. If I do this, I tend to try and go the same direction as the marks from the towel. You know, obviously if I go super smooth with the tone, that's not an issue, but since I left a little bit of texture, I like to one of these electric erasers? I do, and I actually probably will, but I only use it because it goes like right back to white, so I tend to only use it for certain things, like possibly the bling on the jewelry. I might, if I want like a little pinpoint light. Also, hello Jay-Z. I'm like trying to wrap this up so I can get into work stuff, but you know, we're so close. We are so close. Mary, hello. How are you? Great to see you here. We're just doing some Prismacolor on acetate over here. All right, let's get into some of the so maybe before I do that, so I'll use the pink pearl when I want to get some more edges. Or if I want to go a bit lighter than what the kneaded eraser will do. Mary, how are you today? Everyone give Mary a follow. She's amazing. Amazing. If you like awesome art, you will not be disappointed. She does beautiful stuff. Beautiful. Ah, thanks for that gift sub, Autumn. Oh, I'm jealous, Mary. I'm jealous. I want to go to France. My book publisher keeps saying, hey, yeah, when you're here, come stay at my awesome house that was built in like the Middle Ages. So jealous. Like, dude, I want to go there. I miss France. All right, now we'll do some details. Nice, Autumn. Yeah, she's a badass. How long are you going for, Mary? I'm assuming you won't then stream until you get back, right? Until you're back home. Nice. Nice. Oh, Oz, believe me, I'll catch myself doing it too, especially if I've been doing pencil a lot. I'll catch myself doing it on the iPad, you know, like erasing and then going to either blow away or rub away the eraser shards, and I'm just like, ugh, there are no eraser shards. All the time. I was gonna maybe add some color, but I don't think I really have time to get into it. So, what I will do then is let's see, with the warm gray, I will just kind of bolster up some of these shadows, amp them up a little so we have a bit more contrast, because it'll make a difference when we flip the piece back over. Which will happen momentarily, and then I'll be able to kind of do more finalized lines, I guess. And this is just to kind of, you know, make sure we have the depth in the tones and values the way that we want. And then other stuff can kind of sink back and it's fine, you know? Like, we don't need... I don't need everything to be super, super spelled out. And for once, I actually mean it. Like, how often I'm like, I'm not gonna render this too much, and then I just go render happy. I think with this stuff, I actually much prefer the look of not having all of it totally detailed. So it's a lot easier for me to leave it at that. You know. Ooh, Nice. I've never been to Nice. Nice. That sounds awesome. Well, I hope you sleep well, Tree Davy, for real this time. I'm just seeing if the values are where I want them to be. It's always it's annoying when you turn it over and then you're like, oh wait, shit, this thing. Wait, that's a cool gray. Where did I literally just toss the warm gray? Was that? No, that was it. Little bit of reflected light. There we go. All right. All right. Turn this back over. And then we can finalize some of these lines, maybe get some white in there. Gonna do a bit more like a heavy coal kind of. And this is where I'm not going to go over everything, but I'm going to just kind of reinforce some of the shape design and accents, you know, the cast shadows. I will often, you know, work on those edges. It was bugging me the whole time. is going on? You guys is crazy. And just reinforcing edges, right? That's really what I'm doing here. So it's not always adding more detail. It's just kind of hitting a lot of the contours and stuff. And in some cases, it's almost losing edges, at least interior edges, just so that I can get a stronger, shape reading. And you could go the other way and really not rely on line work. Like, I've done some stuff where I rendered the hell out of something and it wasn't relying on line really at all by the end. And that's fun with this technique as well. It's pretty versatile, I feel. But, it takes a lot longer to do the rendering stuff, and I ain't got that kind of time today, so. Sorry, Autumn. All right, I feel like. I mean, there's totally more I could do, and probably a tiny bit more I will do off stream, because we can't draw certain types of ellipses on Twitch. It's a big no-no. Certain ellipses and squigglies are totally okay, but others are absolutely not. I know context matters, but I just like to make it sound as ridiculous as possible. Yo, the damage, how you doing? I know, those dreaded ellipses. Can't have them. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll bring in the 70% gray. And it just helps to kind of smooth out some of the shadows and kind of unify without like necessarily darkening them more than what they are, right? But it'll help to kind of smooth things out and unify the shapes a bit more. Probably should have put a little more stuff into the jewelry, but that's okay. It's just a sketch anyway, right? All right. Feel like we're probably about done. There's no real need to go more than what we have here. I could. I mean, obviously there's plenty of room to go further, but, you know, we don't need to. And if I did go further with it, I would do that. I would go back to the other side and render more. What on earth is happening? Jeez. There's a lot of emails. Let's turn that down a little bit, shall we? Thanks, Damage. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna call this one done. We can let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, right there. Thanks. Let's just zoom in on that. So, you know, that's that's about you know, that's a good level of finish for what we're doing. Oops. That's probably a bit more like what I'm seeing there. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. I have no idea who's on. See a bunch of musicians on. Phil is on. Aw, Cryo, what's up, dude? Yeah, I gotta turn my sites to work. I definitely streamed a bit longer than I intended. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that you didn't come in like right at the end. Let's raid Phil. Let's raid Dear Phil. Phil Tomato. He's doing some fun stuff as always. All right, guys, we're gonna raid here. Show Phil some love. Fantastic artist. And I will be back on Saturday, and possibly, most likely, Tiny Girlfriend is gonna join me on the stream. So that should be fun. We just need to figure out some technical stuff. So tune in Saturday. I don't know what time yet, but I'll let y'all know. And we will see you next time. Mary, I hope you have a fantastic vacation. Thanks for hanging out. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out. And I will see y'all Saturday. All right, guys. Have fun. Peace. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday.